Crypto markets are bouncing off their recent lows. Is this a short-term bottom or is the damage done? Abra's competitors are getting bailouts to fix their poor risk management policies and procedures. In the meantime, Abra's had more deposits than withdrawals over the past 2 months. Why do you think that is? We'll talk about this and more. Natalie Brunell, Abra's Bitcoin analyst, will break down what's happening with Bitcoin and why Michael Saylor, of all people, thinks more regulation in crypto could actually help Bitcoin. Plus, as always, the Abra team is here to take your questions. It's our AAA Ask Abra Anything. Okay, let's do this. All right, welcome to Money Talks. We've got another interesting few minutes of crypto talk for you. First, my standard disclaimer: content is for informational purposes only. None of the info provided contains or is intended to be investment advice with respect to the topics discussed, including, but of course not limited to, the legality and investment in digital assets. All right, so may you live in interesting times is the old proverb. So let's get into it. A few things happening. First I want to remind everyone of some of the posts and mails we've sent out. Hopefully you're all subscribing to our email updates. They're really good. Hopefully you're also subscribing to our YouTube feed. Click the subscribe button on the YouTube feed. Go to abra.com and subscribe for our email updates, and you'll get everything in real time. And of course, you should be following Abra on Twitter. It goes without saying, at Abra Global. There's only one Abra Global feed and one Abra support feed. The Abra Global feed is verified, so should make it easier to avoid a lot of the scams that are out there. So as I said last week, we had a phenomenal risk management show with Justin and Lisa, our CFO, CIO / head of risk. They answered a lot of questions, gave us a good perspective on why Abra has sound risk management practices. And so you should go ahead and rewatch that. Okay. Ultimately, as I've said to you all along, having a partner like Abra that is financially secure, has sound risk management, personalized service for our larger private clients is absolutely essential in crypto. So Abra is considered by many to be the best company for helping you manage your crypto wealth. And that's becoming more true. I've had so many people come to me that I don't even know, DMs on Twitter or emails from people I do know saying, thank God I listened to you and moved my crypto over to Abra when I did. Otherwise, it either would have been lost or locked up with no access. And we'll get into that when we talk about some of the bailouts that have been going on this week, which I never thought I'd see in crypto. Anyway, Abra has, as you know, Abra has rigorous credit underwriting, risk management, and trading policies. Our yield and lending operations are in a very strong position. No significant losses at all. You've all heard me talk about our risk policies for the past 2+ years. It's this commitment to excellence that has enabled our rapid growth in a safe and responsible manner. Now, as I've told you, we're all aware of the recent issues with others in our space. The newest domino to fall is Voyager, who suffered, I think it was 700 million in paper losses via exposure to a large hedge fund. They've received bailouts. BlockFi has received a bailout. We're still waiting to see what happens with Celsius, whose services remain unavailable. Abra has no exposure to any of these companies, has no relationship formally with them. I know them. I hope they make it. I hope they survive. It looks like at least BlockFi and Voyager will make it via the bailouts, which I never thought I would see in crypto. We're talking about over $1 billion in bailouts alone, I think, in the past week from other companies in the space. It doesn't bode well for for their risk management policies. But as I said, I think everybody will learn and move on. So as I also said, you should definitely be following us on Twitter to get real-time updates. Here, I'll share my screen so you can see. Here I've been posting real-time updates on Abra's operations. As you can see here, our seasoned team of experts in support, risk, sales, operations has helped thousands of clients weather the crypto storm the past few weeks. I talked about the deposits versus withdrawals already. The other thing I would say is, in the middle of this storm, customers have been coming to me and saying, why is Abra able to process withdrawals on a Sunday in a few minutes when everybody else is completely locked up? And it's our commitment to excellence. It's honestly, it's not that hard if you're committed. Now, it's a lot of hours, and we all owe a bout of gratitude to the Abra team that is available 24/7 for sure. But it's a commitment to excellence that I think that Abra has that unfortunately is somewhat unique in the space. And I hope that changes and others get to parity on this commitment. But right now, I'm not seeing it. Your funds shouldn't be locked up. You shouldn't have limits on the number of withdrawals you can do per month. That's crazy. Could you imagine if your bank told you that your checking account was blocked and you can only withdraw $1,000 a month? There would be riots, and appropriately so. Okay, we designed this with the perspective of it's your money, and we want to treat it like as if we were the same as you in terms of how we design the service and on par as equal customers. And for example, I have the same rights as you. When I process a withdrawal, the team doesn't know it's Bill versus Mike off the street, and I get the same exact customer service level as all of you. And that's the way it should be. And I don't want to have to wait 2 months because I've reached some maximum withdrawal in an arbitrary crypto yield account. And so I don't think that's right. So anyway, we've designed Abra accordingly. As I've mentioned, there have been a lot of other companies in the crypto lending space in the news this week, most of them getting bailouts. And, like I said, I don't want any of these companies to fail, especially if they're managing your money. And I hope they get their proverbial S together and that we're past this soon. Okay. I'm not here to bash anyone. I'm just here to tell it like I see it. And I genuinely believe that Abra is by far the safest place to be storing and earning yield on crypto. And if you're borrowing against your crypto, that Abra is also the safest place and the cheapest place to be doing that, given that we have a 0% interest loan option. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Let's talk a little bit about the Abra credit card. So we announced the Abra crypto card a couple of weeks ago. Thousands of you, I'll bring up the waitlist site here. Thousands of you have registered to get on the waitlist. Thank you for that. I've got some, I don't drop names very often. I'm not going to drop them here, but I've got some celebrity friends who told me they put their names on the wait list. Can I bump them to the top? I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but they're on the list as well. And I think this is going to be a cool launch. Really excited about this. Special thanks to not only the Abra team working super hard to get this out ASAP, but the American Express team. They were out in force with us in Austin at Consensus. And crypto is really new to many of them, and they're super excited by the effort. And you can see here some of the benefits that we've been already promoting, and there's more to come. You get crypto back on any purchase category or amount, earn crypto that will be tradable across the Abra platform, access to American Express offers, pre-sale tickets, global dining benefits, purchase protections, and more. So basically, you get one of the killer brands in banking and credit card purchases combined with unlimited potential crypto rewards. So super cool. I'm really excited about it. I'm on the wait list. I can't wait to get mine. And, we'll see exactly what the launch date is going to be, but I'm hoping very, very soon. Okay. I'm sure we'll hear more about that when Deepak and Tanner join us for our AAA a little bit later. So great stuff there. By the way, tee up your questions. We are going to do an Ask Abra Anything session at the end today. So keep the questions coming. We'll tee them up. If appropriate, I'll answer midstream, but I'm seeing some. I'm looking at the live stream now. Thank you. You guys always have the best questions. We will talk about C perks and Abra perks. Not a huge update today, but happy to answer any questions as well. Let me talk about the markets for a few minutes before we bring on Natalie. So a bit of a bounce finally in Bitcoin. Bitcoin actually went below the 2018 highs last week. I did not think this was going to happen, and that's probably why it happened. So that high was obviously in the high 19s, and the swing low intraday was slightly below 18,000. It's hard to believe how far Bitcoin has fallen, but it has. But to put it in context, as I've told you all many, many times, it's an exponentially growing asset. If I zoom out here again, we've seen this dance before. Bitcoin has fallen 80% plus before. I've showed you the slides. I'll bring it back up again in a few minutes, but the number of 50, 60, 70, 80% drops that Bitcoin has seen on its way to becoming $1 million asset is it is what it is, right? And that's the price we pay for being on the front lines of that growth, is the volatility. Okay, so let's see. Bitcoin, interesting. Ethereum, let me get this video out of the way. So Ethereum, similar bounce. Now Ethereum is still below the 2018 highs, which is interesting, although it's bouncing harder than Bitcoin the last few days. We'll see what this means. Is it a short-term bounce, a dead cat bounce, as they say, or is the market truly recovering? While one, I don't know. There are some kind of macro debates playing out right now as to whether we're in recession, as to whether there's going to be more government printing and stimulus, and is the Fed going to have to reverse course on interest rates? I'll give you a quick perspective. Here are some of the key kind of, I don't know. I'll focus on tweets for a moment. Some of the key thoughts on this topic that I've seen the past few days. Dan Tapiero probably had the most salient comments yesterday when he talked about how the commodity markets are already in free fall, down 20% for copper and several other key commodities in the past couple of weeks alone. Liquidity is drying up. What does that mean? Well, that means that we've now experienced the fastest credit tightening in modern recorded history. And that is not because of interest rate hikes. It's because of the bond markets themselves. The bond markets are a leading indicator. As I've told you many times, the Fed is now the ultimate trailing indicator. And I think I'm going to refer to this for now as a crypto head fake. And if we truly do see a few more hikes over the next few months from the Fed, I suspect they'll have no choice but to stop and pause. And I've told you all for the last few shows, when you hear that word pause from the Fed, that means we're probably already knee deep in and or probably coming out of a recession. And it's most likely game on at that point as the markets start to price in the idea that we're coming out of a recession because the Fed is so far behind the curve. Okay. And so this ISM number, which I've talked to you about many times, I showed you last week, it's still looks like it's in free fall and is headed towards a number in the mid 40s. 50 has traditionally been a recession. It basically points to supply chains and purchasing managers' thoughts on the economy, and is a very good barometer for where the economy is likely headed. And it's telling us there's a massive slowdown coming. And the bond markets, as I said, are doing the job that the Fed doesn't want to do itself or didn't want to until now. Interesting comments from Urian Timmer, who is a great macroeconomist at Fidelity. He has a really interesting chart here showing the secular bull trend that we've been in for the past 100 plus years. And the question becomes, if this blue line is the long-term trend, do we need to basically get back to the mean for a year or so and then scream higher? And we historically have not gotten much higher than that mean. I think the .com era and that bubble was probably the highest we've ever been above it. We could go higher than that for a while, but historically not much more. So while we don't know, and he admits we don't know if the bull trend is done for now, it is unclear. At the same time, there is no kind of long-term secular change that has shown us that there's any reason to believe that this long-term secular bull market is done. All right. So, excuse me. So that's that. Now, probably the most interesting set of comments I've seen this week were from billionaire activist investor Bill Ackman, who's never short on opinions. He's brilliant. You should follow him if you're not. Now, for this week, I'm not sure I actually agree with Bill. He is basically saying that people are underestimating. Let me scroll up here. People are misreading the Federal Reserve and think that that the public is not taking the Federal Reserve seriously when they say they're going to raise rates and address inflation head on. I actually do take the Federal Reserve seriously. I just don't think they know what they're doing. I think that they are so far behind the curve, they're asleep at the wheel. And because they basically wake up every once in a while, right before they hit the brick wall and try to turn the car, I think that's going to happen this time again when the market's already coming out of recession and they're going to put the brakes on and they're not going to have a choice. That's my opinion. I think under normal circumstances, Bill's comments make a lot of sense. But I think the point that he's missing here is that the Fed is so far behind the curve that he's giving them credit for acting logically when in reality they're just basically months behind in terms of how they're reacting. And every macro expert that I respect and trust, even when they have differing opinions, is mostly consistent on this. Okay. And of course, Dan responded immediately that Bill was off base and pointed out, just as I said, that the data has already weakened dramatically, particularly the ISM number I've talked about. And he expects a big yield curve inversion soon, which basically says we're in recession. All right. And the last set of comments I'd make regarding the macro before we get back to Abra and crypto is around what's happening with the yen. And the yen is looking as ugly as it can possibly be. It's headed towards all-time lows. Now, it could take a while to get there. An interesting article from Zero Hedge from a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to point it out last week, but with everything going on in crypto, I didn't have a chance to do that. Go to Zero Hedge and read it from June 8th. But basically, it's not looking good. And as the dollar has strengthened recently because of the short-term rate hikes, it really puts a lot of pressure on currencies like the yen, given how open and accommodating their central bank was during COVID, with basically unlimited buying in bond markets, which in hindsight was a really bad and unnecessary idea because now they have basically no way out of the mess they've created. Okay. So all of this basically tells me that as the economy slows dramatically, and I'll go back to my chart here and then I'll stop this. As the economy slows dramatically and they have no choice but to pause the tightening and pause the quantitative tightening that they say is going to start, which really hasn't even started yet, it's going to be game on again for risk on assets. And I am certainly buying Bitcoin. Others are buying Bitcoin and gold. I'm focusing more on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but certainly buying Bitcoin and Ethereum into this weakness. That's my personal opinion. As I said many times, I don't do investment advice on the show. Anyway, so enough of that for now. We're a little bit behind already, but I wanted to give you my thoughts on where all that's going, especially given all the volatility in the crypto markets the last couple of months. So Natalie Brunell is up next with Michael Saylor's take on the market. It's going to be super interesting. Can't wait to hear that. But first, it doesn't matter if you're just getting into crypto or already a seasoned Abra user. Funding your Abra account couldn't be easier. We've created a simple and secure way for you to add money. Take a quick look.
Funding your Abra account is easy. Just open the app, then tap Add Money. To buy with your Visa or MasterCard, tap the app. Click Bitcoin through Simplex. Open in your web browser. Enter the amount, then paste your Abra wallet address and tap Continue. To transfer money from your bank account, tap on ACH Transfer, add a new bank account, Continue. Then select your bank. Enter your username and password. Confirm your identity with a code. Select account, enter an amount, and confirm. For a wire transfer, tap Bank Wire Transfer. Then tap Wire instructions. Log on to your bank's online banking page, then initiate a wire transfer. Follow the instructions on the Abra app to input your account, then send your wire. Transferring crypto is simple. Tap Deposit Cryptocurrency, then select the coin you're transferring. The Abra app gives you the receive address to send your funds to. Funding is easy with Abra.
Okay, as promised, Abra Bitcoin analyst Natalie Brunell joins us now with how Michael Saylor thinks more government regulation can help the crypto and in particular Bitcoin markets. Hey, Natalie, how's it going?
Hi, Bill. So nice to see you. Happy Friday, everybody. We have a lot going on this week. I want to start with the fact that after last week's segment, Bitcoin came crashing down over the weekend, falling to the mid $17,000 range. That was the first time the price dropped below the previous cycle high. So that was pretty surprising for some people. Now, it has recovered a bit. It's been chopping along around the $20,000 range. And we've also seen stocks start to recover a bit after a brutal 2 weeks. Some macro strategists that I've been messaging about the markets expect that we might actually be in for a pretty good rally across the board. They're interested in the fact that oil prices and commodities appear to have topped and broken trend, and the 10-year reversed. Bitcoin has been very correlated, so we could see some higher prices, but here's something important. Most of the strategists I've spoken with in both Bitcoin and macro say none of this means that the cycle lows are in. We actually could see a good bear market rally followed by capitulation. So the big question is really inflation. Will the rate hikes have slowed demand enough and slowed the economy enough to drop the counts? And then the Fed could maybe stop being as aggressive or pivot. Or is inflation going to remain sticky despite a recession? And if so, we could see another plunge. And some think that Bitcoin could go even lower than 17,000. But outside the price, we have some other interesting stories that I've been following. ProShares just launched the first short Bitcoin futures ETF, which is designed to allow investors to profit from Bitcoin's price dropping. And the handle will be BITI. The company will own and hold no Bitcoin. And I'm not a fan of this because I think that these short and futures ETFs, they add to an already volatile market. And I don't think that it protects investors. It puts an even bigger spotlight on the fact that we still don't have a spot ETF approved by the SEC, which I think would actually increase adoption by institutions and lead to price discovery. But we are still waiting to see what happens with the SEC and GBTC, which is trading at a very, very heavy discount. Another story of interest is all of the crypto layoffs that are continuing. I've actually been reached out to by so many people from different exchanges and companies sharing with me that they got laid off and asking if I knew any companies hiring. It's been really sad to see this. I hope it's temporary, but it is clear that companies are constrained right now. So we saw this week that FTX moved in with a liquidity injection for BlockFi, which did a massive round of layoffs. I believe it was 20%. FTX gave BlockFi a $250 million revolving line of credit to help the company's balance sheet. And this comes a week after FTX gave an even bigger loan of $485 million to Voyager, which also appears to be having liquidity issues. I saw that some users are not able to withdraw more than $10,000 from their accounts. And of course, there's still Celsius, which has hired an advisor and an attorney on restructuring, and users still can't access their funds. Now, this isn't a great backdrop in the bear market, but you know who's always bullish on Bitcoin? Michael Saylor, of course. He has been doing so much press on Bitcoin in the financial media. And I really think that every clip that he posts on Twitter is really worth watching because he reinforces the fact that Bitcoin is a long-term strategy and that his company carefully researched it before going in. And my favorite quote from him this week was really about what's happening with crypto at large that's affecting Bitcoin's price in the short term. He said, what you have is a $400 billion cloud of opaque, unregistered securities trading without full and fair disclosure, and they are cross-collateralized with Bitcoin. So he's been arguing that the other cryptos have been a parade of horribles and said he can't wait for government regulation in this area, which should eventually stabilize the price of Bitcoin down the road. And by the way, as someone from the media, it's been interesting to watch some of the anchors try to get Saylor to say that he regrets purchasing Bitcoin at some of the prices that he did. And he always manages to answer pretty smoothly. But I just thought it was interesting because as someone who goes on these shows as well, let me tell you, some of these anchors just appear a little bit smug when they're asking about Bitcoin's price decline and the bear market. So it will be fun when Bitcoin's back in rally mode. All right, that is it for this week. I know a lot of people are declaring Bitcoin is dead once again, but I certainly don't think so. I actually think this is a great accumulation point to dollar cost average. But also, as I mentioned before, if a bear market rally fails due to the Fed and inflation, We could see an even lower bottom come in. Some people are predicting 12,000 or 14,000. So I'm going to plan accordingly. That's it. Bill, back to you.
All right, Natalie, thanks for the great update as always. And I've got a whole bunch of things I want to talk about, but I want to get to our AAA. So let's park those for next week. But I definitely want to get into some of the things I'm seeing right now with Lightning, which I think are really interesting, and some of the news I saw coming out of Austin. All right, we'll get back to that. But I really want to get to our product team and support team and talk about some of the burning questions that everybody has. And so let's get right to that. But first, we think Abra is simply the best one-stop shop for everything crypto. We're working on some really cool stuff that we think will make it an even more versatile tool app account for you, and making trades will always be at the heart of everything we do. So we've made it totally hassle-free. Take a look.
Trading on Abra is easy. Just click the exchange button. Tap the source you'd like to trade. Tap on what you'd like to trade it for. Type in the amount. Then click trade. Tap, type, trade. Totally easy on Abra.
Hey gang, welcome back. It's time to take your questions. Let's get into some product talk, some support talk. Please welcome back Deepak Ghosh, our VP of Product, and Tanner Nelson, everyone's favorite Director of Customer Support. Welcome back, guys.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be here.
Good to see you. All right, so let's see. I've got a whole bunch of questions teeing up here, so let me get to a few. Let me give you guys the first couple, and then I'll take some. Any update on our Abra Perks, C Perks plans?
Do you want me to take that, Bill?
Sure, go for it, Deepak.
Yeah, so one of the number one questions we get. But nothing materially has changed in the past couple weeks. We are, like we had mentioned earlier in the show, in the past few weeks, we are taking a hard look at, what would the next generation of Abra Perks would look like, and the team is hard at work with that. I think we've learned a lot, like Bill has mentioned multiple times on the show. We're taking those learnings, going back to the drawing board, and we think we are onto something. We think we're going to create something that's even better. At the core of it, it's all about creating utility that you can use the token C Perks for. And that is what the team is focused on. So nothing yet to announce in terms of launch, except to say that the team understands it, the team understands the priority, and we are very much hard at work to get something out there as quickly as possible.
Yep. Seeing a lot of questions across all of our channels, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, about the card or the Abra crypto card that we just announced, and how C Perks may or may not be integrated into that. I know we haven't announced all the details yet. Anything you want to say now on that?
Yeah, I mean, nothing again. We have a press release out there. We have a blog article. Nothing much has changed since the announcement. Except to say that C Perks is going to be basically weaved into every single strategy of ours and every single product launch of ours. So it is going to play a material role in how we launch the credit card, how the credit card operates. But that said, that also doesn't mean that it's going to be tied only to C Perks. We, as you guys know, we carry 130 plus crypto in our selection, and we want to make it very, very easy for you guys to get the benefit of all of these cryptos and tokens, and not just C Perks. So yes, while C Perks is going to be weaved into the core of how the credit card will operate, it's not just going to be about C Perks. Outside of that, again, We've done the announcement. We've seen the excitement. I mean, the wait list is going crazy. And you guys, if you haven't joined the wait list, definitely should go join the wait list. Now the announcement's done. Everybody's super excited. Now it's time to basically go back and continue to build, continue to work, and looking forward to serving the best experience we can when we actually do launch, and that's going to be later this year.
Yep. We're putting the waitlist link in the chat so people can see it. I've got it up on the screen here for a second. So I don't know if Mr. Wizard could put it up. I had it up before, list some of the early benefits that we've announced. And like I said, and Deepak just reiterated, we've already had thousands of people pre-register. So please go for it. And it's really, really cool. I've actually, we've all been looking at the designs for the card. It's fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun at the same time. So, and working with an amazing, 150-year-old, I don't even know, I think it's 150, some crazy year-old brand like American Express is also super interesting. And we've been very impressed at how fast they've been able to push this thing through and in a responsible way. And anyway, it's super exciting all around. Okay, so I'll stop sharing that. So a couple other questions related to C-Perks. I'm going to skip around here. So just to clarify, right? So right now, people are seeing this message, no live pricing in the app as it relates to C-Perks. And as I understand it, that means that right now trading is turned off. So people are still earning C-Perks for staking C-Perks in Abra Earn, and they're still holding C-Perks if they happen to have it in trade. Probably makes no sense to keep it there. Probably better to move it over to Earn, since you can't trade it right now anyway, with the idea that trading would come back on in a few weeks. Did I get that right?
That is correct. Yes, you can absolutely continue to earn the 3% APY staking rate on your C-Perks. So it doesn't make sense to, like Bill mentioned, to put your C-Perks in trade. But at the same time, for those who are interested, the withdrawals are open as well. We haven't had any locks on withdrawals. So, it's your C-Perks. You can do whatever you want with it. Trading, buying and selling have been paused until the liquidity situation gets better, which is what we are working on. Bill is working on, and the CBA is working on as well. So as soon as that happens, we'll turn back trading on.
Yeah, I can tell you that I'm taking a more proactive role in helping the Crypto Banking Alliance with their exchange listings, just using our influence if we can. Obviously, we don't own it; they do, but we still have an incentive to get it listed to help all of you. And to create more liquidity for it as a utility that's going to be in more applications besides Abra, obviously Amex being one, and others coming. So that's great. And like I said last week, hundreds of thousands of people are holding C-Perks in some amount now. It's one of the fastest adopted new utility tokens ever. Right. And so we are fully committed to this. We're going to figure it out. We may have to iterate a few more times, whatever it takes, we're in. So we will figure this out together. I'm excited about the plans that I'm seeing coming out of the team, and it's all good. All right. So love that some of our watchers are helping other people with their questions. I see shout out to FinFan, who's answering people's questions here. Not only on C-Perks, but also on risk management. Yes, we did a fantastic episode. Most of the credit has to go to Lisa and Justin from the Abra team. Go back and watch last week's Money Talks. If there's one that you ever want to share, I love the product talk because I'm all about Abra's product, but you have to understand why Abra stands out to save one's questions as a more solid platform. And we've been talking now. Here's the funny thing. I've been talking about this for almost 3 years, even before we launched Abra Earn. I got on and I've been traveling the world talking about risk management. Nobody wanted to hear about it because it sounds boring. Now, all of a sudden, in the last 10 days, everybody wants to talk about risk management. Go figure. Okay. All right. So I think I've answered most of the salient questions on C perks for now. Let me go back and see if there are, well, there's a lot of other questions I want to get to. So Tanner, what is pressing, what is hot in support right now? What are you hearing?
In support, a couple big questions, especially folks from Hawaii. They just got a notification this week about some services changing as a result of some changes with one of our partners that we utilize. So keep an eye out for notifications there if you live in Hawaii. And then hot, I think, on the market by and large is ETH 2.0. What does that look like for us, and what are we doing surrounding the topic? So yeah, would like to kind of open that up as well and see what y'all are thinking about it.
Yeah, so I'm not an expert on what's going on in Hawaii. I guess we could have our head of compliance on the show at one point and talk about that. I know they've got some unique laws as it relates to crypto. I am not aware of any imminent changes for Abra regarding Hawaii. We will have some news later this year on some compliance initiatives we have going on in the company, but I'm not aware of any changes, current or imminent, or planned in regards to Hawaii. So it should be business as usual there. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but that's the extent of what I know regarding Hawaii right now.
Cool. Yeah. So Prime Trust. So just to add some clarity, there is a partner that we work with. You've spoken about them in the past, and they are a critical partner of us being able to pay yield and do so in a way that's compliant and safe, as Bill has alluded to in past episodes as well. So there are some changes coming down the pipe with that. So just keep an eye out. We're going to send notifications to everybody that is going to be affected. And if you have any questions at all, our customer support team is here 24/7, 365. We're available at support.abra.com. You can reach us through live chat, and we're also available on the phone Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. Happy to answer any questions that anybody has, any concerns. We're always here to support.
Yeah, so great, thank you. Let's talk about trading for a moment. So getting lots of questions on what's happening with Abra Trade, given the announcements the last couple of weeks. So Deepak, what's the latest on everything happening with Abra Trade?
Yeah. With Abra Trade, as we've mentioned in the past, we are working to completely change the underlying trading infrastructure that we have today. Just for some context, the infrastructure that we have today is about 3-4 years old now, and so there are many things that we can do that will allow us to not just have much better rates, but lower the spread and the fees down to almost zero. But there needs to be a lot of improvements, fundamental improvements to the infrastructure that will allow us to do so, which ultimately means our users are going to have one of the best, if not the best, trading experiences out there, especially amongst our direct competitors. And so to that end, it's a massive undertaking to just completely rewrite the underlying infrastructure. And again, the team is very much hard at work there. They open up a can of worms, and they figure that there's another piece that it depends on, which also can be massively improved. And so we're not leaving any stones unturned. So whenever we get into a point where we see improvements can be made, we are doing so. We want this to be a one-time thing. And once we get beyond this point, it's going to be a much flexible, much scalable, much easier to use experience moving forward. So that's what the team is working on right now. We still are looking to launch in the next maybe couple months, 3 or 4 months, something like that. Again, this is software engineering, meaning that is to say that nothing is super deterministic, especially with a project of this size and scale. But I can tell you that the team is working very, very hard right now, and with just a singular objective of putting an experience out there that we'll be proud of, that you'll be proud of.
Yep. Yeah, we just, for everybody's FYI, we just had our quarterly exec planning offsite. We all get together every quarter for several days and lock the door and figure it all out, as they say. And Abra trade, and not only for consumers, but for institutions as well, is a big topic of discussion at Abra right now. And we have some pretty healthy plans. I noticed there was some questions earlier about Abra Prime and what we're doing with Prime services. And so I can assure you all that we are fully committed to making Abra trade, Abra Prime, the ability to do big block orders, which we support today, but is going to be even better in the coming weeks. So those of you who, by the way, looking to do huge trades, if you can't do them in Abra Trade, we actually have an OTC desk. It does a pretty brisk business today, so you can get in touch with us via support, and we can put you in touch with that team. And like I said, it's a great service, and it's just going to get better. I use it. I have the same service level that you do, and it pushes me to want to make things even better. And I can't even imagine using something different versus Abra. And I get to see the early mock-ups of where this is going, and I'm super excited. We probably won't talk much about NFTs today, but there is a big conference going on in New York right now, and some of the Abra team is there, and they've been showing off the designs for the NFT service, which you can see online, I believe. And everyone is so excited. I think the team has nailed it. So that's going to be really exciting, and it all gets integrated into one incredible user experience, right? So super cool. All right, so we'll come back to Abra Trade, I think, in a couple of minutes. Adam is asking for dark mode in the Abra app. Tanner, Deepak, I don't know if you guys get that question a lot. It's interesting. I never really thought I would care about dark mode in the app, but now that I see it and use it and have it defaulted for other apps, I kind of like it. And so it's one of these things I was always like, yeah, whatever. And now I see it and I'm like, okay, I get it. It is kind of cool. So something we should definitely consider. Tanner, I don't know if you've been hearing that from other customers, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it does add to the readability. Oh, sorry. I just get excited about dark mode. Whoever asked the question, I'm with you. I love dark mode. I've never seen, like in dark mode never used to be a thing, and all of a sudden it became a thing. And since then, I could never look back. But anyway, you have a lot to look forward to. Whoever asked that question, you have a lot to look forward to with our launch of Retail Web. But it does add to the accessibility, the readability, the energy savings that you get with dark mode as well, which is not really an aesthetic thing. But anyway, in the design circles, dark mode is a big deal. But I don't know, Tanner, I don't know if you get questions around dark mode or anything.
Yep, certainly. Yeah, I think you nailed it. I agree as well. I think everything I use is dark mode now.
Yep. Okay. All right, so I'm getting some clarity from the team. Thank you for that while we're talking here on Hawaii. And there are some changes coming. And so I've been very busy, focused on all the risk management stuff going on. And so there are some legal changes that are happening. I'll try to parse this for you. Again, this doesn't apply to most of you. Marketing sent an email to Hawaii clients yesterday regarding ACH and wires, which will no longer be available specifically for Hawaii users starting on July 13th. And this has to do with changes coming down the pipe for Prime Trust and how Prime Trust services are affected by legal changes happening in Hawaii. So I'm not going to read all the details here because they're in the email. So if you contact support via live chat in the app, they can send you the email if you're not already subscribed to Abra's email, which I hope you all are. So hopefully that helps there. Thanks to the Abra team for responding in the background there to help us out and help me out. There's so much going on. I can't know it all, by the way. It's just not possible. Let me see here. Yeah. So somebody asked if we consider FTX a direct competitor. It's an interesting question. I mean, I know FTX mostly for, their international service, which are, I'm obviously a US person, so I can't personally use, but I know like some of our offshore entities use and our funds in other countries use. And it's a good service. It has a lot of pro trading features that aren't really geared towards our specific customer base. I think their US product is a little closer, but I still think that, they're competing more directly with Coinbase and Coinbase Pro. And, I don't know. I think, I see our competitors as probably Voyager and BlockFi and actually, probably more longer term Consensus. And I just did a brain freeze. Deepak, help me out on MetaMask. Sorry. I've already blocked it out of my brain since we're going to kill that product, which I can't stand for the average user. If you have a PhD in computer science, MetaMask is fantastic. For all of the rest of you, it's god awful, and your chances of losing money are incredible. And but given how many users they have, I think it's part of our writ is to help fix this. Anyway, on the competitive front, I'm not going to spend any more time attacking competitors. I actually, with the exception of MetaMask, want them to survive. By the way, I do think MetaMask needs to survive because we need that raw technology out there to show us how things work in the background. But I don't think average users in the crypto space should be using MetaMask. I think they should be using products like Abra, and Abra is fully committed to making all of those DeFi, NFT, basically DApp-oriented features directly available inside the Abra account, starting with NFTs and DeFi. And it's all basically been announced the last few weeks. And oh, by the way, that reminds me, I do think we're going to be, I don't know, is it too premature to talk about any of the DeFi or staking stuff, or should we hold it, or should we talk about it? I don't want.
No, we did talk about this very briefly in our blog post as well. So basically the idea there is that, NFT is going to be our first use case, if you will. Right. And it's a cultural shift. So it just makes sense for us to do it. But the infrastructure that the experience is powered by is agnostic to the particular use case. So, if you ever participated directly into liquidity pools using this thing called MetaMask, that's just Bill talked about, that's not so easy to use. Or if you executed any sort of DeFi strategies, earned rewards, stake rewards, things of that nature using MetaMask, all of that is basically powered by the same infrastructure. So the simplicity and the user experience that you hopefully saw in our demo video that's also posted on a blog post, by the way. That simplicity is given the infrastructure that we're building, that simplicity can be applied directly to some of the staking things, participating in liquidity pools, executing strategies, and so on and so forth. And so that is where we're heading. The infrastructure is indifferent, which is fantastic. But NFT is going to be our first use case to that end.
So let me address a couple of comments that people are asking about the theoretical advantages of MetaMask, where obviously you own your own crypto because you're holding, in theory, the private key on your hard disk, which is probably the crux of both the advantage and disadvantage, right? So the advantage being that no one else can access the stuff you own that is tied to that private key because they don't have it. On the other hand, if you forget that it's on your hard disk and you get a new laptop, and you put your laptop on the garbage heap, your crypto is gone. And I've also had some friends who are actually pretty savvy lose crypto to phishing scams on MetaMask, which is a big problem because it's integrated directly into Chrome. So however, the first logical question becomes, well, wait a minute, if I own my crypto on MetaMask, do I not necessarily own it on Abra? Now, this is interesting. The architecture that we've set up with our partner here, we're working with a company called Fireblocks, actually allows you to continue to own the crypto associated with the NFT, with the DeFi, potentially in the future with staking and other dApps that we're going to launch. It just uses a different architecture versus how MetaMask works. And I'm not going to bore you with the technology. You can look it up online. It's called MPC, or multi-party computation, and you can read yourself about how it works. This isn't a tech show, but it actually allows you to continue to own the crypto. So I'm just looking here, a few comments on this. Music Boy. Well, anyway, a few of you asked this, and so go read about it. It's really exciting. I'll have more to say about it later this year when it's more live. I don't want to belabor this now because. Anyway, go check it out. It's super interesting. All right. So more questions. Let's see. So many questions. We talked about trade, getting a lot of questions on the timing there. We don't have exact timing on Abra trade updates that Deepak was talking about, except to say it's a top priority. We reworked our schedule to basically do upgrades to trade first, and then bring the updated market limit orders and then see perks. So the order that we originally announced has been changed. And this is actually to your benefit, even though it sounds like things are delayed. You're going to see lower spreads faster. You're going to see then basically market order alert screens if we feel that you're getting screwed on the spread because you're putting in too large orders, and then eventually limit orders. But the order we're doing things is actually more to your benefit than our original plan. So please bear with us. It does make a lot of sense, even if you don't have visibility into everything going on behind the scenes. Let's see. More questions. So, okay. So let's talk about Abra Borrow. So in the past few weeks, because the price of Bitcoin fell so much, a few of you had to make either collateral calls or sell part of your Bitcoin in order to stay in compliance with loans. So let me address this question of one, how Abra Borrow works. And then Tanner, I'd love to hear from you if you're getting the kind of typical questions you're getting related to Abra Borrow. So basically the way Abra Borrow works, and Deepak help me here, but basically you choose whether you're going to borrow against your Bitcoin holdings or your Ethereum holdings, and then you choose what percentage of those funds or those crypto you want to borrow, and that sets the interest rates. Is that right?
Correct. Exactly. Yep. It's the LTV to APR that we showcase on our website. Yes.
Yep. So the LTV basically functions similar to how a HELOC loan works if you're an American, which is a home equity. HELOC stands for home equity line of credit. It lets you borrow against the value of your home, which is a pretty common phenomenon here in the US and in certain European countries, maybe Australia. So borrowing against crypto is no different. It has the advantage to both you and Abra that because crypto is more liquid, it basically addresses credit risk in a way that a HELOC loan can't, because if you can't pay your loan, we don't want to sell your house, or the bank doesn't want to sell your house. Believe it or not, the bank doesn't want to own your home. Okay. They have no interest in owning your home, but they have a bigger interest in making sure you pay your loan. Now, in this case, we actually take possession of the crypto. We don't want to sell your crypto. We have no interest in selling your crypto. However, it's more important to the rest of our client base that you stay in compliance with the loan because it keeps the rates low for everyone else. And so therefore, if the price of crypto falls low enough, you may get a notification from Abra that you have to either deposit more Bitcoin or Ethereum because you may be out of compliance with that loan to value ratio. Or you may say, hey, go ahead and sell it. It's fine. I'm okay with that outcome. All right. So I'm curious, Tanner, are there any kind of consistent questions that you're seeing in regards to borrow that you think we should address?
Yeah, I think the biggest question, and you've kind of already addressed it, is what causes a collateral call. And it as Deepak and Bill have both alluded to, it really comes down to the lifetime value, or loan to value ratio, sorry. And essentially, when that exceeds 70%, that's when you would go into that collateral call, and we would request that you deposit more collateral, Bitcoin or ETH. And in order to resolve that collateral call, you would need to do so, or we would, as Bill said, we can also liquidate those funds to resolve that as well. So you have a number of different options to resolve that, but essentially what we're trying to do is get you back to that original loan to value that your loan originated under. So whether that's, say, 33% or 50% or what have you, as soon as you're back to that original loan to value, then that would resolve your collateral call.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. So a couple of questions here, and I think I know the answer to this. So Cayman asks if earn and borrow Bitcoin are kept in those accounts, and I have to post collateral to borrow. Can I post directly from earn into borrow? And I believe the answer is no. It has to basically come out of earn first into trade, and then you'd have to send it to borrow on chain. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'll add just one more thing to the previous discussion is that to summarize, right, there are three ways that you can deal with, when you get a call, what happens, right? One is you let Abra liquidate. We talked about that. Two is that you add more collateral, or three, plain and simple, you just pay the loan. So either way, you either get the loan number down, or you get the value up, or let Abra do the liquidation and settle for you. So just to summarize, those are the three things that you could do. But yes, going back to the question, that is exactly right, though.
Yep. Okay. So and just to clarify, so you do have to withdraw from earn first. Earn is a physically different account from borrow. It's regulated differently. It's managed by Prime Trust, which is a different company. And so we would like them integrated over time. And my guess is that is something we will figure out and make it easier. But because they are different companies in the background, it was fastest to implement this way. And then I think eventually we'll figure that out. In terms of the amount of time to satisfy a collateral call, Tanner, correct me, I think it's 48 to 72 hours. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds right. I think as far as the specific date or time, anytime you receive a collateral call, you'll receive an email from us with a specified date and time, with the time zone as well. So there's a very clear deadline laid out for you to resolve that collateral call. And if you have any questions, again, not to sound like a broken record, but we're always here to help you out. If you reach out to us, like, our service levels are great. You're generally talking to a live person in about 30 seconds right now. So we do a lot to make sure that we're providing you with world-class experience and understanding that, hey, crypto, again, doesn't care. It's always on. We're always here for you and always available to help you out with any questions you have.
Yep. That's right. Okay. And then somebody was asking, what are the fees and cost if you say, go ahead and sell my Bitcoin or Ethereum to deal with the collateral call? That was from Liz, the Liz 1970. So I think the answer is we're not actually adding any fees on top, but the normal trading spreads apply, meaning that the more that we have to sell to help put you in compliance, the bigger the risk that there could be a higher spread there, just depending upon the state of the markets. Now, Bitcoin and Ethereum are highly liquid compared to other cryptos, so that shouldn't hurt you much. But just be aware that the markets do tend to hurt you a little bit the higher the amount you're trading at once. And so that's something that with our new trading system will get even better, I believe. But for now, just be aware that you do run the risk of a slightly higher spread for larger sales. And so again, that's just the nature of the beast right now with crypto. Okay, let's talk about stable coins for a minute. Somebody's asking about, are there any inherent risks in holding True USD, and why did Abra choose True USD as the default for bank wires over, let's say, USDC or Tether? So let me talk about that first, and you guys please chime in. So True USD is a U.S. regulated stablecoin just like USDC from Circle is a US regulated stablecoin. To my knowledge, there are three major US-based stablecoins that are regulated by states and FinCEN. The first is from Trust Token, which is TrueUSD. The second is from Circle, which is USDC, and the third is from Paxos, which I think is USDP. Is it? Is it the Pax dollar?
I think, yeah. Yeah.
Or PUSD or USDP. Anyway, all three are supported by Abra. You can move between all three at will. There is a spread. It's just a normal trading spread. It's nothing to do with Abra, and that's just inherent in those products. But for us, the original reason we chose TrueUSD had to do with the mint. And it was very easy to get in and out of TrueUSD very, very quickly for our clients, because when you're wiring money to Abra, what you're actually doing is you're wiring money to Prime Trust. It then gets converted via the mint to TrueUSD and then deposited in your Abra account. We want that delay between the time you initiate wire and the time the TrueUSD hits your account to be, or the stablecoin, whatever it is, to be as short as possible. And in our initial analysis, that time frame was lowest with TrueUSD. Now, things have changed, and everything is kind of on par now, whether it's TrueUSD or USDC or Paxos. So our goal over time is, and by the way, there's also Binance USD, so BUSD. By the way, BUSD and Paxos dollars are exactly the same. They just use different contracts because both are managed by Paxos. Binance didn't implement their own stablecoin. Paxos did it for them, and it uses the Paxos regulatory oversight and their collateralized contract model, et cetera, et cetera. It's all outsourced back to Paxos. So all of those are basically kind of on par from a legal compliance perspective. Both, all four actually have minimal risks. Because they are fully collateralized in dollars and dollar equivalents like treasuries, and they're subject to state financial regulator oversight, audits, et cetera, et cetera. Tether is a little bit different, mostly because it's based outside the US. Now, they have improved via a settlement they did with the New York State regulators a couple of years ago. Their audit and oversight in terms of what they're releasing to the public. And so I don't think it's as big a risk in any way as, let's say, USDC or TrueUSD, but it's certainly a bigger risk than just holding dollars in a bank account. And so I personally prefer to use Circle and Trust Token, but a lot of you in the Abra app are using Tether, and that's perfectly fine with us. Okay, so hopefully, you go ahead.
I'll just quickly add to that. So that's exactly right. But from an experience perspective, the trading infrastructure, the custody infrastructure that we're alluding to before, what we're working towards, what we will unlock is that you guys don't have to worry what stable coins are being used on the background. Like, it's basically you're looking at USD. Given the pair that you're trying to trade, given whether it's a single swap, meaning you want to go from like one crypto to the other and the pair is already there, or it's a double hop to get to your end, your destination crypto, whatever the case is, whatever the complexity is, whatever makes sense for a particular trade, which stable coin makes sense, all of that complexity is going to be handled on the back end. What you see in your experience is just USD. And ideally, there are no spreads, there are no fee going from one stable coin to the other. We will take care of all the complexity. So that's the world that we're trying to build. The world that you're seeing right now is a remnant of something that we had done 3 to 4 years ago, and it's just there, it works. But through what we're building for the future, that simplicity is something that I think you will appreciate.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. I'm really excited for that. Looking forward to that. So, all right, we're already over here. I'm looking at the clock. We're at 63 minutes. Tanner, any last parting thoughts on anything you're hearing you want to throw in?
No, I think we covered a lot today. So just thanks for the time. Thanks everyone for the support. We appreciate you. As always, feel free to reach out if there's anything we can do to help.
Yeah, by the way, feel free to reach out. So if I want to access support in the most efficient way possible, what should I do?
So 2 ways. In-app, you can just click on the hamburger menu, top left corner, click on Get Support. That'll open up an in-app browser in your mobile device. It goes to support.abra.com. So from a desktop, you can reach us as well. We're accessible in-app or via the web at support.abra.com. And there you'll find all of our Help Center content and the easiest ways to reach out to us with the phone number and the link to live chat as well.
Yep. So we do have a US 800 number. Is that manned certain hours? How does that work?
Yep. Yeah, it's Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., excluding holidays. And we made it real easy to remember. It's just 877-2-GO-ABRA.
Yep. And that's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time, I believe, right?
Pacific time. That's correct.
Pacific
Yep.
time. And that was, say the number one more time.
877-2-GO-ABRA.
Got it. Cool. Deepak, any party thoughts?
No, yeah, like Tyler said, we covered a lot, but again, we're very excited. We're building lots of new things. We're changing the way Abra fundamentally works. It takes time. And so please be patient with us. There's a lot to look forward to. And super excited here. Me, the team, and everyone here at Abra.
Yep, right on. So reminder, we want the CPerks Army to help us out and just kind of gently, kindly, and civilly nudge our peers at the exchanges to list CPerks to help all of you out. So please get on that. I've seen many of you have done that. Thank you for that. You've done it in a very kind, relatively unobtrusive way. So please continue to take that approach. I'm seeing a bunch of questions. Just because I didn't get to your question today, I'm trying to keep this to an hour. We're already at an hour and 10 minutes. I promise I will try to get to them next week. Keep the questions coming. It's okay to keep asking the same question. I promise you it doesn't annoy me and doesn't annoy any of us, even if it's a hard question. I'm not ignoring hard questions. I'm kind of randomly doing it because there's way more questions here than I can ask in an hour. And by the way, you're also welcome to follow up with support. And if you have questions about how Abra Borrow works, about how Abra Trade works, about CPerks and how that works, withdrawals, anything you want to ask, and bring it up, and we'll do our best to answer. It doesn't have to be on Money Talks, but of course, we love answering the questions here on Money Talks as well. Okay, we love doing this for you. It's not always easy, especially with some of the crazy stuff going on with our competitors. We're trying to be the adults in the room here and also keep it civil at the same time. Be careful, do your homework, watch last week's video on risk management, share it with your friends. And in the meantime, have a great weekend. Stay safe wherever you are, and we'll see you next week on Money Talks. Take care, everyone.